But we don't need to blow up Warmachine. Warmachine's still huge in my area.
What area?
Hey guys, welcome to another Lords of War Games and Hobbies video. I'm Chris, this is Jay, and we do these little weekly, or a couple times a week, hobby chats where we try to talk about industry important stuff from the perspective of your friendly local gaming store. Sometimes less friendly, sometimes more friendly. See, it depends how we feel.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Yeah, how much coffee we have.
Yeah, it depends.
And obviously the web's blowing up this week with the huge announcement, and I already did like a little quick video the other day.
We're gonna milk it again.
We're milking it, dude. We're milking it.
Yeah,
gotta make content.
Gotta do it. Gonna just squeeze every drop from this news.
And obviously, yeah. So that's what people want to talk about right now. And just by the sheer volume of comments that we got on the video. It's clear that like everyone is actually really interested in discussing, different avenues and what could potentially happen. A lot of people have a lot of obviously emotions about Warmachine, positive and negative. I tend to land somewhere in the middle because, just a little bit of background on like our experience with Warmachine. If you're kind of new to coming here and haven't heard us talk about it, we definitely opted out as a retailer because by the time we had opened our shop. Second edition, I feel like the game had already kind of hit its peak and was in its like decline phase. Yep. And we had limited resources when we opened our business, and we kind of said, well, we feel like it's not a great alignment with the Games Workshop products on the wall, and might create like a bit of a clash of communities. So we just decided to keep out of it. On a personal level, we both really enjoyed Mark II, and we played it quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Painted armies.
It was fun. We were one of the few people with painted armies, and
yeah, that's always fun. Shots fired early. So today I want to specifically talk about, and you probably got that from like the clickbaity title, is I think, and this is going to be obviously like a very speculative video, but there's a lot, in my opinion, there's a lot to be learned about how Games Workshop handled their Fantasy Battles game and how Warmachine might move into the future potentially. Yeah. Essentially, like, how do you resurrect a product that's dead? And I know, slow down, Chris. It's not dead because they still make a product and it still sells, in theory, out there. This 3D printed garbage or whatever that they're peddling to people. Like, honestly, like, I didn't believe it till I saw it. I'm like,
you gotta see, yeah. We'll upload
maybe this will be the screen cap or whatever.
Yeah, we'll take a better image of it. It's basically one of my wonderful customers. He still collects a bunch of their stuff because he likes collecting all kinds of minis, and he brought this in. And this is a recently, it says 2023 on it, recently made or sculpted, printed Monpok Kaiju guy. And
we literally have like the other Monpok ones right beside.
He brought in the metal ones, which he actually likes because they don't have any problems.
And even there's some resin ones too that they hand casted, right?
Yeah, and this guy is just butchered. Like it's something you could print at home. First of all, it is nothing about it screams like commercial level
premium quality miniature. Yeah.
And then the way they clean the model afterwards is atrocious. It's got massive gouges and cut marks. Because it looks like someone took their Olfa,
It looks like DJ Khaled scratched this
inch
to death.
Wide. Wow, DJ. It looks like someone took their box cutter to clean this model, and it's Anyway,
Anyways,
you'll see that in the thumbnail.
It's not what you would in 2024 putting on a shelf in a retail store next to Games Workshop, next to Corvus Belli, next to Asmodee.
Thriving company.
It's not thriving. Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah.
In real terms, like they're obviously in massive decline. I don't think anyone would argue that point, right? Mm-hmm. Whether or not they are still for sale in your area or people are playing the game, I think that's wonderful. Okay. Anytime anyone's playing anything, they're enjoying it. I never would have any beef with that. Obviously, I'm not insane, but. I think ultimately what Steamforge Games is going to have to start thinking about is like, so how do we get maybe not back to like the zenith of second, but in very real terms is like how do we win back the retailers? How do we win back the distributors? There's a lot of burned bridges there, and how do we win back the consumer? Because like a lot of people were commenting whether you love Warmachine or not, you have to hear people, you have to listen to people and what they have to say. Whether you think it's good faith or bad faith or whatever, Everyone is a consumer, and what they have to say is valid. And a lot of people are saying, they had a toxic relationship with Warmachine, whether it was just like coexisting in a hobby space near people that played it, whether it was them trying to collect it and play more casually, whatever it was. We have to hear those people, and Steamforge needs to hear those people if they're going to build this back, because, like I insinuated in the previous video, I think is really important, is I think war games need to be multi-pillar.
Yep.
In terms of, in order to create a stable product that actually can survive and last. And for those of you who didn't see the other video, what I mean by that is having gamers, hobby, like a strong hobby focus, and then like even like a casual or narrative or whatever you want to, story, lore, whatever you say, like those pillars need to all support each other and coexist for a healthy sort of ecosystem. What do you think?
No, they need to do a lot of those things. I think the other point that you made in your video that is probably the most salient is to do with they probably have to blow it up. And that does probably mean also nuking a chunk of their fan base or collector base. You do have to. I do think it requires a scorched earth, a la Old World, before AOS. That is.
So let's take a look at that. Like, so obviously, I had a bit of an insider track to that. I was in the meeting, still working for Games Workshop, when all the North American store managers were in a room, and we were being yelled at by the head of sales. This is after the Off the Beach. This is a little bit later, okay. But this is essentially like, here's your, and I still have it. Here's your 8th edition rule book. It has your name in it, and it has a pledge, and basically, this is the last chance this game has.
Right.
That was the pitch leading into 8th edition. Mm-hmm. We need this to sell. It needs to make money, or else, basically. Like, they didn't say we're going to kill it, but it was sort of implied.
Already at the start of that edition already.
And for those of you, if you want to go, you can go watch actually some really interesting talks with some of the game designers they're doing the like the Rick Priestes and stuff that were making like the 3rd and 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Mm-hmm. They were already talking about that back then.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
It was already in decline.
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, 40K is the future, etc. Yeah,
it just had literally crushed all of their fantasy sales, and they have never been able to recoup that magic, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's an interesting case study, and obviously Games Workshop was willing to literally Death Star their one of their flagship products, because they deemed that was the way to move forward. Mm-hmm. And what we saw, like, there was a consequence to that. A lot of people obviously stopped that they were buying in the first place, but like they lost a lot of gamers to other games. Yeah. We saw it with the tournaments. Like, people went into Malifaux, they went into whatever else was at the time available, and playing that sort of stuff instead of Warhammer, and they created a brand new game that had the essence of the old game, the spirit, if you will, but a completely different, like, mechanical game.
Yeah. It wasn't the same game at all. Yeah, look, I think the Warmachine situation's a little bit different, because I think it's already kind of several degrees past where 8th Ed Fantasy was. 8th Ed Fantasy at that time, pre-End Times, wasn't selling a lot of kits in stores anymore, but there were still lots of people playing.
It had visibility.
It had a lot of visibility, and I think that was probably Warmachine a few years ago, maybe pre-pandemic.
Right.
And again, this is just like, you can take it how you will. But our empirical evidence is mostly to do with, like, none of the stores within 100 miles sniffing it at all anymore. And these are some of these stores were like
mega Warmachine stores.
They had
like literally the bread and butter.
They had 40-foot walls of it, or whatever you want to call it. And then also seeing it become a very tiny. They used to have their own wing of Adepticon, and now they just have a little small side room, or they're just kind of amalgamated in the one big room, like as a small section. There, they don't have, the the players that they commanded before. So that's just kind of like, which is, so the way the math works is the people that actually go to these events is a tiny percentage of the overall player base. So, if that number shrinks significantly, then you're like, well, what's going on here, right? Like, these are the diehards. And
it is an interesting eyeball check, right?
And
like,
even they're not coming out to play, so you're like, what's going on? Anyway, so what does this mean? Well, it means that the way they approach this game is they have a little bit more, they can kind of, it's almost like a blank canvas. They can really decide to do it. Now, my only fear is my only other like sort of example, and maybe you can argue that Warmachine isn't as dead as this game was, but when we talk about how distributors feel about it, how retailers feel about it, is the Dark Age game. The Dark Age was like a game, a post-apocalyptic game.
Yeah.
Has very cool minis. It's come and gone several times.
Yeah.
Cool Mini tried to revive it, and then 90% of the way in decided, nah.
Yeah, I know.
And I was like, what the hell?
They're doing such a good job too. Yeah.
And so some lessons I would like to take from that is like Warmachine or Steamforge could do this, which is revive and or make a new model line and get it painted up and showcased, and that's easy. That'll look great. Get all the... I think content makers will actually be happy to jump on this because Warmachine, their proprietary press, was a big property. So they will be happy to paint those jacks up and the new casters and whatever, and new sculpts and show those off. Get all the big name painters to do it. So I think that's easy. Getting cool looking models on a shelf at a game con.
Having a presence, right?
Having a presence.
Really what it is.
And that's what the Cool Mini guys did. Like they got me to buy some models. I was one of those people that was like what do you want to call them? It's like the independent voter, I'm just walking around, I have some cash in my wallet, I'm not there for anything specific. But a guy walked up to me and started shoving products in my hand, and then I looked at the cool models.
Dave Taylor's a monster.
And I was like, it was all Dave Taylor, And I was like, okay. And I walked away. They took $100 out of my pocket very quickly, and I'm like at a con.
And you're a pretty hard sell on a new minis game too. Like
I can be, I think it's because meet me now more than before. When I was younger, it was just everything was great, but now I have less time. But I think I've said this before, and I appreciated that when some entity, whatever it's a company, are good at selling. I enjoy that process when it's like definitely. It's well done like that. Yeah. And I was like in my head. I was like, I probably will never actually open these models, but I was like, look, these guys are like doing a good job. I want them to do well because maybe this will be a thing in my own store, et cetera, et cetera. So I was happy to give them some bucks. And let's be honest, when you have a few hundred bucks at a con, it's there to be spent. It's not coming home with it is like stupid because then like why?
Well, she's just gonna want it back.
If your wife gives you is like, oh I expect you to spend a few $100s and you come back with money. What the hell's wrong with you? That's stupid.
Now you get a smaller budget for next year.
You just have a smaller budget for next year.
That's how budgets work, right?
That's how budgets work. You don't spend it.
You got to go over. You got to go over budget so you can increase the budget. So no, I think your point is really really resonates. I think it's like from a retailer perspective, but also a consumer perspective. Having that presence at those big cons is a huge first step to, because it works both ways, right? When you see the small little tiny card table booth for a major company, which is what Warmachine had turned into, you're like, oh my god, is it that bad? And it's that bad. Yeah, it's that bad, right? Like if they can't shell out, a couple $1,000 to have a nice big booth or at Adepticon, like some of these smaller companies are doing. Yeah, that's a sign that they just don't have the funds to kind of really to market like they need to.
Yeah, and they I remember they gave away a lot of, was it Mark IV books or something? They tried some stunts.
Yeah, they did give away. Yeah, I mean that's to be fair. That's the stinkiest of colognes of desperation when people are when companies start giving away. We always kind of laugh about this. We're like, oh, what's the game that's going to die next? Which is basically like who's giving away starter sets the next convention. Like where 1,000 people leave with a starter box.
The logic is it's one of these dumb. It's like on the surface, it sounds like I'll get a few thousand people to try my game, and you're like. That's really like you have some crazy hubris thinking a few thousand people care. So you're just going to give it away. The few people that want it will get it, and then no one's going to buy the rest. Like you need to be a little more. There's a weird if something's a little hard to get, you're almost more interested in it because,
that's it, man.
Because you're like, oh, okay, this is valuable.
Something's free. It's like, man, that thing sucks.
It's
like,
why is it free?
Why is it free?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And I mean, I hate being right about those sorts of things, but like there's a bit of a track record there with those types of games.
It's like every
Rune
time.
Wars, Warmachine things,
Star Wars Legion now.
Star Wars Legion. I mean, Asmodee's giving away way too much of those cons now too, and that's a little scary.
Anyway,
Flames of War.
Back on topic. Yeah. Right.
So like I guess what lessons? What do they take from the Games Workshop example? What do they take from the Dark Age example? Ultimately, like, my question is, can Steamforge afford to have bought this and sit on it for a few years before they do anything? We're obviously going to find out, like, Thursday. They're going to tell us a little bit more.
Sort of. I think they sort of can, because I think to my point about how the game's, like, farther down the line than you think. So I think they're, like... You know, I don't know what exactly they just sent us an email that said, "Hey, this is how we've acquired." And there's a funny anecdote about this because what Steamforge posted and what Privateer posted, are kind of different things. Like
Privateer Press, hey guys, we got a new partnership with Steamforge Games, and we're going to partner with them, and things are great.
Partners.
What did Steamforge say?
Steamforge said we acquired Privateer Press, and all these properties.
You work for me now,
including the paint. Yeah. So there's two very different messages there.
Yeah, it's sort of like
are you equal?
Are you partners with your boss at work, or are you partners with your landlord? Like it's
basically you're telling your friends that you're partners, and meanwhile Steamforge is moving into your house and taking your bedroom, and you get and now you pay them rent or something. It's kind of like that. So. Yeah. So I think I believe they outlined in very like basic terms that the first order of business I think is they're going to this week is they're going to launch launching a Kickstarter for a portion of the IP, which is the Iron Kingdoms, which I guess is, what is that? They're skirmishy or even smaller or RPG?
It's their RPG section. Yeah.
So they're gonna. So that's Steamforge is like heavily invested or aligned itself in RPG games lately on the last few years because they want to piggyback off the success of 5e and make products that will go in every store. They want to secure footholds in stores with simple products.
And this is like you said, that's actually brilliant. Like I didn't click with me. It didn't click with me. I'm like that's actually an amazing synergistic first move because. Like you said, they have this really good track record already, making all these like great miniatures and rules supplements for 5th edition, and it's a natural progression to be like, we're just gonna do the Warmachine version of that first.
Yeah. So, and because it's kickstarted, it's also very safe. They're going to raise the funds ahead of time. They have a proven record, so you can see they are doing a bit of the Games Workshop, very slow drip. Methodical. We're not going to take any risks here. See how it goes. Like it's almost like a passion project for the Steamforge owners, co-founders, because they love D&D, they love Warmachine, and they want to bring it back. So obviously, going out and acquiring the company,
let's be honest. Let's how did that meeting go? Let's be real here. Like it was.
I mean, they probably showed.
You walked into a building that's on fire.
They walked into a building that's either on fire or has boarded up windows or whatever, and I guess he just. I don't even know.
Matt Hart's like, here's our offer, and it's basically like
he wrote a
$5 banknote or whatever. It was like,
it probably was only 4 digits or something. I don't know. The joke is it was pennies on the dollar. It must have been.
Of course. Yeah.
So the fact that they even were able to acquire the rights to whatever it is to the Formula P3, which they said they will get to later, because I think that's not even in their wheelhouse at all. They don't make paint, but. That's kind of a funny where they were almost the ones playing hardball there. They'll be like, "We'll take it, but you have to give it all to us or whatever." And here's the price.
For sure.
And Privateer Press was like, "Thank God," or whatever. So anyway, they're gonna start with that, and then who knows where they'll go? Maybe they'll probably run a few things in parallel. I'm sure they're gonna spend the next. Let's put it this way: it's gonna be a few years, like before we see anything. So. As big as this news is going to fade into the background for a little while. But
maybe we'll do a separate video for like our wish lists for the new Warmachine.
Yeah,
because there'd be like an interesting kind of.
Sure. Yeah, I have some. I can imagine they're going to borrow. A lot of games copy each other now, so I think they're going to borrow some things from everything and look at what's successful. And Games Workshop does this. They look at their competitors and they try and find little things that work in those games and bring them, into their own games. So, I think whatever it is, I think it'll be a mix, just like Warhammer Old World is. It's gonna, this is their chance to do what Old World did, which is make an edition that has stuff from the previous editions.
Greatest hits,
greatest hits.
Yeah. I think it just needs to be called Warmachine when it comes out.
I agree.
Drop this mark, whatever garbage. I think it's just confusing and it makes it feel a little elitist almost.
They should, or
insular and I
don't know. I think they should start it over.
Age of Sigmar is not called Age of Sigmar 4 or you know what I mean. It's just called Age of Sigmar.
It's true. They don't.
They don't change the title of the game or whatever, right?
They do not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They just change a logo or skin. I mean, 40K does the same thing. They don't put tent that on anything. So, long story short, it will.
So nuke the customer base. Is that what you're saying? You'd hit the nuke button.
The way that happens is
the sweating guy with
with the two buttons.
Nuke or no, nuke or whatever,
By nuke I mean I don't mean they go publicly and say "F you, everyone."
No, of course not.
I think it's more that they will. Let's say so. The example is, let's say tomorrow they go. Okay, here it is. Here's a new edition of Warmachine, and here's a cool trailer with all the things coming back. I think you're going to see smaller model ranges. I think you're going to see, whatever. Let's say Signar's 100 kits. Here's 20 or something. Like, it's going to be savage.
Yeah.
But everything will be brand new. Launch boxes, kits, team boxes. I think I could see them doing the thing that they've done with their other, whatever it's Guild Ball or their other games, or Epic Encounters where they have army sets. I don't think you're going to have this like buy a Warjack and has like 7 variants in it. I think it's going to be more like, here's a box of like, this is a unique Warjack and it always comes with this armament type of thing. Simplification. You probably buy a Warcaster and his like retinue or special units all in one kit kind of thing, and everything will be new. And I think they'll also reduce or start with a reduced faction list. It'll probably be like, here's the 10 most popular ones or 8 or whatever it is, and maybe it'll be like 4 Hordes and 4 Iron Kingdoms or whatever they called them, and just start fresh. And I think the reason that's important is a lot of old players will be mad, but the most important thing is this will be a way to get stores to carry it again, and you'll get new players, which if you want your game to be a thing, that's you absolutely need that. You can't. I know we've probably said this many times. It doesn't really come across well enough. Is like the cycles that Games Workshop has got or other games and editions these are necessary like evils. You have to cycle through and get new people in all the time, because like the hobby by nature is not like people get their armies, they get their paints, and then they go off and enjoy their thing, because it's like you just do it with your friends and maybe you buy a new thing here and there. Like it's not built for like people are like, oh, I've been such a great customer for so many years. That's awesome, but like you can't rely on that forever. You need new people, and that's why there's a new consoles, new Mario games, new, right? Like you need to keep this thing going. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's great insight. You guys have obviously made a lot of great comments. If you have more questions about Warmachine, we're happy to talk about it as we go along. We'll probably do a follow-up video next week based on the Thursday announcements from Steamforge Games, and hopefully they give us some new information, and then we can kind of speculate from there. So if you like this, like and subscribe. We're getting close to our Patreon goal, our first bracket, where we will be forced to make extra content for people. That's what I'm saying. That's true. And force us to do more work and sign up on Patreon. True. It helps us out a lot, obviously, too, and we're reinvesting that into the channel. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, take care. Bye.